Hello everyone and welcome to another Ruthlessly simplified guide on Shadow Empire, a game which I've become totally addicted to. So, I've just generated a brand new world here, completely random, same with my Ruthlessly simplified guide to getting started, and in this situation I am just totally surrounded. So if I go to the strategic map, I have some non-aligned territory here, and then I'm totally surrounded by this minor regime. I have no idea who they are or what their capabilities are. They could be anything. They could be slavers for all I know. I'm going to presume that they are. That's the worst case scenario. And the non-aligned zone, there is an unknown enemy literally on my doorstep. So I'm caught here in a bubble, in a hate bubble. Now, how do you deal with a situation like this, and how do you secure your borders? And this will actually evolve into a guide that actually will show you a strategy which I increasingly like. So a lot of people talk about getting recon buggies and all the rest of it to scout out around you. Now the thing is, when you push your border out into someone's territory, you will decrease your relationship with them. So at the moment, my relationship with this unknown faction is 36. And if I start taking a huge amount of their territory, which I can't help because it totally surrounds me, I am going to lower my relationship with them. Now, if they're farmers, they might then ask me to respect their borders after I've taken half their country. But, you know, if they're slavers, that's just going to result in them declaring war on me immediately. Or is it? Well, if we use the strategy just build machine gunners, then not only can we hold out against all odds, but we can actually make a very secure border, which allows our army to move freely. And there are many other benefits to it as well. So, before we get started, I'm just going to have a look at the stratagem cards that I've been dealt, in case there's anything useful for this current situation. No, militia loss of faith is a bad idea when we're in a situation where we're totally surrounded. 50 political points would not be very useful to me right now. The treasure hoard would be useful, but I can't afford it. And the gladiator ring is sort of more of a long-term investment. So there's nothing that can help me right now. I'm in deep, as it were. So the first thing that I do is I go to raise formation. Go for a brigade-sized. Independent. And you will notice here, you have these machine gunners. And they're fantastically cheap. 20 production cost, 15 metal cost, 2 political points cost, so fantastically inexpensive unit. And if I can see the details of them from here, but they have excellent defense. They are slow, but they have excellent defensiveness, and they have very solid damage as well. Machine guns are twice as good as rifles in terms of attack power, but machine gunners are not so great on the offense, but on the defense they're amazing. And that's all you want. And because they're so cheap, you can get a lot of them. So some of you might see where this is going. You know, if you look at buggies, for example, the cost is 5x. You know, what 5 regiments of machine gunners would cost me, I can only get 1 set of buggies. So I am just going to raise a lot of machine gunners. And I mean a lot. As many as the game will let me have, which is a lot because they're so cheap. Okay, that's the last of my production. Okay, so now back to my militia. So I don't know how dangerous this is, so I'm going to move my biggest militia unit here. Interestingly, the machine gunners, even though we can't move them yet, do happily provide us with... let's go a little bit further forward here because there's a town and we might get something out of it. they will happily provide us with defense in case for whatever reason this unit magically decides to go here or around to attack my city. Alright, this is the top of the map. I didn't even realize. Great. So we know that we can secure this area. Okay, and that's all of my militia for now. Now, depending on what this is, we might just drive it away. But we'll see what happens. So, your machine gunners are gonna make up, effectively, your border. And they're gonna provide 4 fantastic functions that are gonna let you survive long into the late game. One thing I am gonna do is just kill my camera so you guys can see what is going on at all times. Alright, apparently I just killed 500 infantry, so that enemy did actually attack me. And paid for it. Oh wow, 400 Galactic Republic grade infantry. That's going to help us out. Alright, so we still don't know what this is, but it attacked me unsuccessfully. Okay, it's 9 raiders. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to move this guy here. And then here. Okay, that looks clear. Good. And now, my machine gunners are good to move. You can see that they're not properly organized yet. They will organize over time. I am going to move these ones on top of these infantry units and then bring these infantry units here. So what I'm doing is I'm establishing a border around myself. We'll notice we've got some border lines here, so we'll just double check the strategic map and see if... Nope. It's the same... It's the same minor. This minor occupies all this space, and this is like free territory. Okay, that's the event where someone says, please defend this hex that we took, because we are idiots.
Understood. Sir, yes, sir.
So let's deal with that quickly. Wow, this guy's good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Just going with all the standard stuff for now. So, we look at our standard resources here. I can actually now afford another group of machine gunners. Then I will actually be out of recruits for now, but that's totally fine. No need to increase recruits to get more machine gunners. They'll keep up with your... Deploying 1 extra return should be enough to keep up with your expansion without too much difficulty. And you'll want to slowly build up your industry points and your metal for the inevitable recycling center that you're going to build in one of these ruins. So now I'm in this situation where I'm creating this wall around my territory, which will eventually prevent anyone from taking this territory back, even if I'm at peace with them. Because one of the most annoying things, well, one thing that can potentially be very annoying is when you annoy a faction like this one, once you start taking enough of their territory, they'll be annoyed and they'll come for you. Even though they won't be at war with you, they'll gather on your border and they'll push your border back. And the only way to stop them from doing that is to have your own units blocking them from doing that. And that's kind of what you want to establish. So that's the first benefit of machine gunners, is that you're establishing a wall which can't be pushed back. The second benefit is that it overinflates, because when you end up, you know, say I'm not working on this front, so if I end up leaving a wall of machine gunners here, they'll entrench. It overinflates the power of your nation's military, which changes how the AI perceives you. It can be the difference between you being left alone if you're in a war with somebody and everybody dogpiling you because they think that you're weak. So that's another benefit. The third benefit is that if you use the bottlenecks tool, which shows your supply lines, your machine gunners will actually show you as you expand out where your supply line is starting to fall short. But since they're such small units, you'll literally see the edge cases where the supply line is starting to fall away. So then you can take remedial action to fix your supply line. And the fourth thing is that it just allows you to totally focus on using your actual proper military, whatever that happens to be, to fight the enemy. Once you have enough machine gunners to make a good wall, you can then have all of your other units that you've built for the purposes of waging war on people actually focus on waging war. And those machine gunners will become like an early warning system. They won't stop an enemy from breaking the line and getting into your country, but what they will do is they'll cause them to waste all their action points to actually break through them, giving you several turns of notice to bring your real military to your wall of machine gunners to actually come and defend before they break in and start cutting your supply lines and being a total pain in the backside. So anyway, in theory I should win this pretty easily, because these raiders are not very good according to my intelligence.
Going in.
But we'll see. The militia is not great at the best of times. Oh!
Mission successful.
They surrendered. Most of them anyway. Okay. This unit, this event happens quite often where a unit will just spawn in the middle of nowhere. I generally ignore it and just pretend like it doesn't exist, because a lot of the time there's no way that you can realistically connect to it, and it's often not worth the effort. Okay, we are expanding. Good. Units with low supply, that's this guy over here, by the way. It's not any of my other units. And of course, they want me to produce metal, which is not... which is high on my list of priorities. But not right this turn. Because we're too busy trying to stay alive right now. It's not actually metal expensive to build these recycling facilities either, it's the industrial points cost that's the main issue. So it'll be a couple more turns before we can just plonk that down. In the meantime, the march of the machine gunners continues. So, what I often do is I free up militia units. Even though, strictly speaking, some of these militia units will actually be inferior combat-wise to the machine gunners. But machine gunners do actually have a cost to replace, so we'll want to avoid losses on them early, because militia will more or less replace itself for free. So I'll bring these guys back. And I'll decide on a new front line. Ooh, very nice. That is IP producing building, really cool. Would be very nice to pick that up. There's evidently something here because this territory has not been pushed back. So since we know that something is there, like that is something we just absolutely know, it may now be wise to send a nearby militia unit just to hold that area. In fact, let's send our special unit that we got over there as well. Okay, where did the enemy unit go? Probably not here. So for now, we've actually established a front line here. That's reasonable. Now, this space that we've taken, this is enough now. We have ruins, we have space within reason, there's a water supply. We might now be okay. Obviously, you can take as much unaligned territory as you want. It's not going to bother anybody. It would be nice to grab this battery compound here. This would be huge for us, and maybe we can slide around to get it. But this is the thing. So we know that this minor regime, their army is on this side. It seems to me like we started sort of on one side of their territory, and this tiny bit up here is the last of what they have on this side. But what the machine gunners are doing here is they are preventing me from losing any territory or being directly attacked. I do have a gap here, but we'll fill that in shortly. And this is a strategy that works really well, because militarily you are a terrifying target with all these machine gunners lying around. They prevent your borders from ever shrinking. Just really, I'm rehashing the points that I mentioned before, but they have lots of benefits. Their only weakness really is that they can't attack. They're not that great at attacking, but you don't use them for that. You use them to hold territory that you've already taken. You don't use them to attack. You use your other stuff to attack. They're just there to eventually make a wall for you, and also have the benefit of showing you where your supply lines are bad. So you can see here, this guy up here it's got an 88% marker here. That would indicate to me that this terrain is bad enough, I guess because this is partially forest and this is a crater and this is totally forest. This is bad enough that I would not want to expand any further in this direction until I can provide a supply base or a truck stop or something to actually reinforce that area supply-wise. So that's a good little indicator that's cost me very little to find out that this area is rough enough that I don't want to push my borders any further, because then I'm risking breaking my supply chain. So we'll just go into the details a little bit of machine gunners as well. And then I'll show you guys a couple of games where I've used this strategy to get out of some very hairy situations. So it's not like you're totally ruining your economy to do this, because they're so cheap. They're so fantastically inexpensive. Okay, it's advising me I haven't got any machines, but I'm not using any yet. So if you take this infantry as an example, and we look at the details of it, you'll see here that this rifle militia has a hard attack and defense of 5 and 10, and a soft attack and defense of 10 and 20 respectively. And the RPG militia has a much more respectable 21 hard attack and 52 hard defense, and a 10-21 situation as before, and the machine gun militia has like 5-10 and 10-40. Now these machine gunners are 1633, so in the middle of militia RPG troopers and regular infantry in terms of hard attack. But look at the soft attack and defense. 133 soft defense is absolutely crazy. So they are amazing for forming a very cheap border around your nation. And you can see here, look, remember before that I said that this supply looked like it would break up here, and it has. So you see it goes from 100 down to 64 and then down to red here. So we're just barely in reach of our supplies up here. So our machine gun wall has revealed to me where my supply chain would start to break when I need to consider dropping a supply base. But yeah, your enemy will not want to attack into these things, because once they are in position and they start to entrench, the amount of force required to remove them, especially using soft attack, is vast. And if you are forming a wall, you know, the easy way to get rid of an enemy unit that's highly entrenched and highly defensive is to surround it and then just attack it from all sides. But if you actually make a wall, the enemy can't do that because there's a wall. So the most you can be attacked is from 2 sectors, ensuring that the wall will hold in the early game, and if it doesn't hold it will at least inflict heavy damage. So I'm just going to skip a turn here and build some standard infantry just so I can give you guys a comparison. This is not part of the strategy, I just want to show you guys what the regular infantry looks like that's non-militia, because militia units are, generally speaking, weaker than standard ones. I have to remember that the machine gun unit is half the size of regular infantry, but you could of course just build 2 and stack them on top of each other, so it's kind of a moot point. So you can see here the enemy is approaching me on this side again as well, trying to take territory back, and my machine gun wall is preventing them from just diving in. Okay, so if I raise a formation of just standard infantry, just to show you guys, I wouldn't recommend that you actually do this. There we go. So you'll see here that they have a hard attack of 6 and a hard defense of 13, which is terrible, and they have a soft attack of 13 and a soft defense of 26. I really don't care that there's twice as many when their stats are so dramatically inferior to the machine gunners. They're like... I mean, it's... the comparison is absolutely horrible. So, yeah, machine gunners are pretty good. Now, in classic cookery show style, let's open one that I prepared earlier. Except that I can't actually load directly from this screen, so let's go back to the main screen. Let's go. Okay, so here's one I prepared earlier. And I've used the exact same strategy. So in this game, I had a major above me. As you can see here, this Aldar 100% friends militarist major regime started above me. And then to the side of me, I had mutants, who I have been steadily pushing back while building a supply chain that will allow me to do that. So you can see here various supply bases and supply infrastructure. I was hoping to connect this through the mountains, but it costs a lot of industrial points to do that. So this infrastructure is slowly pushing back, and here's my machine gun wall, along with the regular army that's actually in various places on this wall waiting to attack. And then on my right hand side, I had, you guessed it, another major. This one doesn't like me very much. So I can see their stuff because I have spies. I've established a spy network in their territories. And so I use the machine gun wall technique to push out against what is a really terrible start position, i.e. a major above me, a major to the side of me, and like 200 regiments of mutants to the other side of me. Whenever they were involved in another war or were busy, you know, their eyes were turned away from me or whatever, I pushed my machine gun wall forward, and when they came back to take their territory back, they couldn't take it back because I had a machine gun wall there. Now, interestingly, this mountain range here is basically what stopped me from pushing any further. It's basically going to be a direct assault at that point against them, if I want to go against them. And this is my OHQ unit that I've set up here to monitor the border and be ready to attack if I need to attack for any reason. Complete with tanks and artillery, you know, everything's ready to go up here. And then my old militia is sat on my city because I have nothing really to do with it, so it might as well sit there. There are certain events and stuff that roll on how many soldiers you actually have in your city to quell unrest, etc. So you might as well retire the militia to that purpose later on in the game. And here I'm building up an army to eventually engage these guys. So it looks like they have a lot, but these are anti-aircraft guns. This is militia. This is infantry, which is highly unexciting. If I show you this infantry here, it's kind of funny how unexciting infantry really is. 44 attack, 87 soft defense, and I haven't upgraded all of my machine gunners, obviously, because I wasn't wasting money on the border patrol guys, but let me find an upgraded... these are my RPG troopers here. I find an upgraded machine gunner unit, like this one. So, Mark III machine gunners. 48 to 192. So, they continue to have superior soft attack and vastly superior soft defense. Now, having spied on my enemy and seen that they have a lot of tanks, not particularly fantastic tanks. I mean, I looked at these tanks and they're not... this one's not so bad. 105mm howitzer, 50mm steel plating. It's not so bad. A lot of these other ones that they've got are not great by tank standards. 60mm howitzer, 55mm steel plating. I have started to prepare anti-tank troops in large quantities. Don't forget, this is 102 over 204 on a massive regiment of units, you know, 1,800. These tanks have got similar stats, except obviously they'll use their soft attack against my RPG troopers. So they have a similar soft attack to my hard defense, but there's only 30 of them. So this is a fight they're going to lose very badly. But anyway, at the moment I'm just in the process of building up an army to actually go in there and take this guy out. And it's taken me I'm not sure where the turn counter is in this game, but it's taken me about 30 or so turns to get to this point, this really solid point. In what was a terrible situation. It doesn't get much worse than having a major above you, a major to the side of you, and the one side that isn't a major is mutants. It could have only been worse if the guy to the side of me wasn't mutants, it was slavers. Then that would have been even more of a nightmare to deal with. But as it stands, the machine gun strategy will secure your borders at not the hugest economic cost to you, since they're relatively cheap. It inflates your military power, which puts the AI off attacking you, which makes the AI attack the other AIs, which can only benefit you. It allows you to hold your borders, making sure that the nations that surround you can't push them back. And indeed, the reason why my supply infrastructure on this side is so much better than on this side is because the mutants originally were like here, and I have been pushing them back ever since with this machine gun wall, which they just don't want to engage onto it because it's a machine gun wall. And I had an objective here. I would eventually like to steal this monastery, but there's a lot of effort to go and get that. But my main objective was to get over here and secure this oil tile, and also to secure, there was one other thing over here, it's up here. There's an asset on this tile, which was pretty good if I remember correctly. I think it's a power plant. Yeah, it's this. It's this gas turbine. My one issue at the moment is that I am a bit short on power. Largely because I started researching nuclear energy, skipping solar energy, and it's just a little bit behind schedule, but not much behind schedule. I just underestimated how long it was going to take to finish researching it. It's 76% research, so it's going to take me just a few more turns to get that up to standard. But I realized that the mutants had a power plant that I could just very easily push with my machine gun wall across and take it, so I took it. And they didn't want to attack me. I've had lots of games where, you know, if they think they can attack you or they think that they can surround you, they just do. But because of this wall of machine gunners, they're thinking, actually, I don't want to get involved. I don't want to touch it. And that has just allowed me to slowly squeeze them off the map without actually being attacked. Of course, I've reached this point here. I stopped because this is now an open space as well. So I'd need all new infrastructure up here and more machine gunners to actually create a bigger border wall. And this is just because, you know, I'm surrounded by hostiles, or potential hostiles with big armies. But it works out very nicely. So anyway, I hope you find this useful, and this is not a fluke, this works every time. You do sacrifice a little bit of economy for it, but it works, and it will get you into a healthy position on most difficulties, I think. Obviously, you know, if you're on the very hardest difficulty, you probably don't need a ruthlessly simplified guide to this game. And this is by no means a min-max strategy. I'm not even saying it's the best strategy. I'm just saying that it's simple and it works, and there's a lot of benefits to it. And economically, it's not that expensive to actually execute either. So there are a lot of benefits to it. And I believe I actually have, and I'll just show you guys one more save game. Where I used the same strategy because I was in the same situation. So here we go. Here you can see, this is not that long into the game. I have a lot of militia, but you can see my telltale 5 strength machine gunner squadrons are around. This is actually an 18 strength machine gunner squadron, which... The 18 strength machine gunner squadrons are big enough that they are actually quite they're pretty good on the attack. They can actually be very effective. And you can see here I have an 18 strength machine gunner squadron that I've been using. Here, there's another one here. I have some buggies as well because I was using them for recon purposes. But it works. This is very early on, and I've, you know, once again, I've not had... Well, I've built up a massive stockpile of resources in this game because I I started in a mega city, which is kind of cool. So I had the opportunity to really focus on my economy, and I did. Since, you know, you can put recycling centers in ruins, there was an opportunity to build industry, and I took it. I think I actually got quite a nice industry producing asset in this game, if I remember correctly. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is, it works. It works in all situations. Something to consider if you find yourself surrounded by... in this case, I was surrounded by a major regime here, who is almost dead now. And then below me, I had nomads. And to the other side, another minor regime. And up here, I had mutants, but the mutants are dead because I killed them. In the cases where you are at war, consider making the bigger stacks of machine gunners. If it's not obvious how to do that, you just, when you go to raise formation, instead of selecting size brigade, like select corps or army. And the funny part is, or I should say regiment or division. The funny part is that machine gunners are so cheap that buying a huge stack of them, a regiment or a division, is, you know, wholly inexpensive. I mean, just look at this. 6,000 machine gunners cost me just 240 metal and 420 industrial points. So the biggest cost... Well, the biggest cost isn't even manpower, because, you know, ordinary infantry, you end up using twice as much manpower for them. But compared to tanks, the manpower cost is high, but otherwise they're very cheap. And they get the job done. So, yeah. And if you're watching this, Vic, okay, please don't nerf machine gunners. I don't want my guides to be out of date 5 minutes after I've made them, okay? Alright. That's it for now. I hope this helps someone out there really survive into the mid-game. If you're having trouble or you're surrounded by incredibly hostile people with large armies, machine gunners are your sweet solution. Alright, see you guys next time.